Yo! And welcome back to another optimization video. So, I'm going to do a recap of what we've done already. We changed the light from a dominant directional to a directional. This gained us about 10 FPS to 20 FPS just by doing that and building lights. Unfortunately, I need to build lights again, but I don't know why. Some reason, I don't know. But we're getting pretty good FPS in our spots. 30 FPS, that's pretty good. 31 FPS, 32, 33, 34. Nah, it's alright. So, I'm happy with that so far. We also added this pre-computated visibility volume, which helps in game. Doesn't really help in editor, helps in game though. End of last episode, I said that we are going to be doing a culling volume and culling out individual meshes. I'm actually going to save that for the next episode because I really want to get these the foliage culling out the way because there's a lot more meshes within the foliage than there is actually on the map. So we're going to start that. I'm only going to do the grass on camera. Everything else I'll do off camera, then I'll show you at the end. But everything I do with the grass is going to be related to everything else within the foliage editor. Let's get the foliage editor open. There's the foliage editor. Hello, Mr. Foliage Editor. So we're just going to be dealing with grass. All my stuff's painted. Really, when you're actually painting this stuff, you should set up like distances anyway, just for a simple optimization pass. I usually do it when I'm placing stuff. I usually put up culls and stuff in when I'm actually building the map. I took everything off just for this tutorial though. I say everything, some things I forgot to take out and I'll take out later. So, just the grass. At the moment the grass is everywhere. I can show you that by looking over here from outside the map. I'm basically on the edge of the map. I'm going to press C to zoom in. And whoa, where the hell am I? There we go. And you can see the grass on the opposite side. So there's the other side of the beach, and there's grass there. There shouldn't be. Whoa, what the hell? I didn't know I could do that. See. Oh, press the wrong button this way. So yeah, there's grass on the other side, and there shouldn't be any there. We want to get rid of this because of a word you're going to be hearing quite a lot, because of draw calls. To simplify what a draw call actually is, I'm going to just tell you it's basically the CPU calling for an object or objects, usually meshes and materials related to that mesh. Calling from file from your hard drive. And then dumping it to memory. Then from memory it dumps it to the graphics card. The more things you have, the more calls it makes. So every item, every object makes one draw call. If you have thousands upon thousands, you're making thousands upon thousands of draw calls. That's the simplified version of it. So basically your CPU is the bottleneck within loading all these things up. That's why you get low FPS. So what we need to do is bring down those draw calls. As I said, you can be hearing a lot about draw calls. It's pretty much the mecca of optimization. But let's get to it. As I said, I'm just going to be... I don't know if I actually said this because it's like the third time I tried recording this. We're just going to be dealing with the grass. So don't worry about the bushes or the little rocks or these rocks or the big trees on this. I'm going to be doing all that off camera. Then when I come back I will be showing you what I actually did. So for a baseline, let's get rid of this. We're getting 31 FPS from point 2 and about 34 I believe, 33 from point 1. But I'm going to be using point 2 as my main reference because I know it's the worst. So, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be finding a nice spot for my grass, which this will do. We're going to open up our foliage editor and go into our grass. This is actually wrong. That should be 1,000. By default, these are set to specific numbers. I can show you those numbers quickly by just finding a random mesh. If I can find stack mesh there. That'll do. Doesn't matter what the hell it is. Just dump it in there. Go down here. So it's usually 100 to 10,000. Sorry, I thought it was 1,000. So it's 10,000. Just get rid of that, so we don't need it. So these are a 10,000. Let's just dump them back to 10,000. And I think my game is just crashed. My entity's just crashed. No, it hasn't. Oh, good. So 10,000, 10,000, and 10,000. So yeah. There's my phone going off. So within this, as I said, I'm just going to do the grass because I'm actually using three instances of grass. Pretty much all the same. They can be the same material, but all these ones A, B, and C. I do this to take advantage of a trick. Basically, what you can do is cull stuff out to a massive distance. So I want this stuff to be loaded in close to me, so I want that to be about 1,000. So 1,000 units. Let's just go to top-down view. Get rid of this. Let's go to this so I can actually move. So 1,000 units is about that there. I can't get it exact. That's about it. So 1,000 units in front of me. That's when grass is going to appear. So anything from 0 to 1,000, grass will appear in front of me. Anything past that, it will start disappearing. So it's a bit hard to see at the moment, and it's a bit hard to see because of this cull radius, the cluster radius. I'll be going over that in a minute. So the end culling is 1,000. This one I want to be just a bit over, so 2,000. Well, actually about 3. 5 would probably do it. So 3,000. You can see it all disappear. So the closer I get, the more stuff will actually appear. And because this is set to 0, that's always there. I'm going to actually set this to about 9. So let's use C again. So yeah, you can see all this stuff is loaded. But if I start moving closer, it loads even a lot more stuff in. So you can see it loading and unloading. The more you have on screen, the worse it's going to be. That's why we start unloading stuff pretty early. But let me put my light back on. It's a bit hard to see, but the cluster size actually does make a massive difference as well. Basically, the bigger the cluster radius, the more that will get culled out in the same time. So over a 10,000 cluster radius is quite large, and there's only 100 instances within that cluster radius. So I'm actually going to put this down. It might take a while, but it will make the transitions a bit smoother for me, because 100 items within a 10,000 radius, basically 10,000 radius around you, it's quite large, and you might not see. You'll be able to see the popping in and out quite abruptly. So if we put the number down a little bit, the popping won't happen as much, because there'll be more clusters. You can see it here, cluster count. If I put the cluster up to 1,000, right now it's at 280. If I put the cluster the size up, this number should go down. See, so the cluster count went down, but the instances stayed the same. So there's 10,000 instances. Oh, sorry, yeah, it's 10,000 and a half instances of this particular thing, and each cluster contains 100, but them clusters are really big. So basically it's the clusters that pop in and out, not the actual meshes themselves. So I tend to use quite small clusters, and it just helps with the popping in and out. And you can mess with this as much as you want to get a good balance of FPS and look. I suggest bringing them down quite small, then working your way up. Just like this number here. I don't like this number, 9,000. I'm actually want to go to about 12. Just so I can see things popping in and out. Because I've messed with all this, I'm gonna have to rebuild lights again. So yeah. It actually looks quite good. This 3,000 I don't particularly like, so I'm going to move that to 6. And this one here I'm going to move to about 2. And we're getting a lot of stuff in front of us, not so much past us. And you see him pop them in. It's not too abrupt. It's quite nice. Yeah, it's gradual, and it works. Looks nice. You can do this for anything. So again, off camera I'll be doing this as well. I've already messed around with the cluster sizes of a lot of this stuff, but stuff like Tiberium, you're never ever going to see this at a massive distance. So we're going to put this cull distance up to quite low, so 6,000. So you see it start popping out, and it's gone, and it's back in. You see, you're not really going to see it back here. Pops in quite abruptly because of the cluster size. Let's move this up a bit. Woo! 9,000. Yeah, you're not going to see it there, and it pops in when you get there close. Same as over here. I could use different foliage parts to do each of these, so I can control the distances on each individual cluster I have, or individual paints I have. So this stuff here doesn't really need to be loaded in that far, and all this stuff, but this stuff over here needs to be loaded in from quite a large distance. But we'll work on that. I might as well show you trees, because trees act quite weirdly. So let's pick a tree. Let's pick this big ass tree here. I believe it's this one. Let's have a look. It's not that one. It is that one. Why you no show me stuff? So because these have LODs, I'm not sure why that isn't popping in now. Yeah, because these have LODs, they actually work quite weirdly. So when you get close to them, they there's no fronds or anything. So when you get further back and further back and further back, the fronds go because of the LOD status on them. So the closer you get, the more fronds happen. You can control this by using the start cull distance. So if, say this is 10,000, which it is, we can half that to 5,000, and they'll start coming in a bit sooner. 5,000, and they start coming in a bit sooner. Can also up this to 9,000, and basically within 10,000, 1,000 radius, will stop the LODing. So that's about 1,000 there. If you want to just totally stop it, you can just dump it to the same number, and they'll come in basically at the same time. Don't suggest you using 10,000 as... Well, I'm not going to use 10,000. I'm actually going to use about 100,000 for that, so I can see them in the background. So that's about right. But most of my background trees I don't want to see. Let me just get rid of post-processing for a second. Show post-processing, post-processing effects. Yeah, so that's way too much. Let's just bring this down. Still way too much. There we go, 60. That's still too much. Let's bring it down to 40. Still too much. And that's about right. 30, maybe I can 25. So because I'm getting popping, I can bring this to about 20, and that will stop a lot of the popping. Maybe 25. And bring this up to 28. You're not really going to see any of that until you get here. 29. Bring this up to 29. And there we go. So most of my trees are actually going to be about that sort of distance. So okay, 29. I can vary these to make things look a bit better, but most of the time there's no need. Any more trees? Yep, this one, 28. You see them all unloading back there. Some of the numbers are actually quite large. I could probably undo them a little bit more, bring them down a little bit more. And so I might as well just go through everything while I'm here. Trees. I got these little flowers. These little flowers can only really be seen when you're really up close to them anyway. Because they're flat and they have like a height material. So I'm just going to put these to a really small number, like to get like a 2,000 or something. It's not really going to make much difference. Yeah, that looks nice. Trees, all my bushes, these things here. Again, not really going to be seen, but there's quite a lot of them. So 6,000 is quite a good number. Most of them in the bushes, so yeah, 6,000 is quite a good number. It's back there. I could take it down a little bit, say 4,000. But the problem with these is the characters are quite large, and so are these are quite large compared to the characters. So you could technically hide behind them. So I'm going to keep them about 6,000. They work quite well in here. My bushes. I'm not really a fan of these bushes on this map, but they help to break up the landscape a little bit. Without them, the landscape looks a bit dull. But I want to keep these quite low, so about 9,000. I'd say 10,000, actually 11,000. Oops. And again, you can vary these if you got a lot of stuff on the map. Whoops. Yes, some of these I can vary a bit. So 17, 20, 15, 18. Keep that one now. It just shows a bit more variance on the map because they don't. Stuff like this doesn't actually have collision. If I had collision, I would sort them out. But then the numbers are specific to your map. They're not just for this map. They're not just generic numbers. This map is quite large, and so that's why I'm using quite large numbers. So these rocks are next. Actually, the larger rocks are next. These ones here. Is it these ones? It might be these ones. But we're going to cull these ones out at quite a large number as well, so 16,000. No. 25,000. Because these rocks here actually have an LOD at the moment. I'm going to be taking that off and I'm going to show you how to make your own LODs quite comfortably. So there's our grass, there's our grass. These little rocks, don't really need those, so about 3,000. These little rocks just appear in every now and again. In fact, 3,000 is a bit much. 2,000. See, they're only tiny, you don't particularly need to see them. Tiberium, where the hell's my other rocks? These ones here. So these ones here, there's a lot of them. Again, I've gone through all these off camera. So the clusters and radiuses, just play with those how you see fit. But the biggest one is the cull distance end. But you can see how the clusters work now. If I put the clusters down, so within 100 radius there's 100 of those, the clusters will actually start flopping in, so there's one there, one there, one there. But if I up this, the clusters will basically half. See that the three that were there just turn into one. It just helps control your LODing. So from here I actually want to show a bit of rock here, so I believe this was about 8,000. No, about 10 then. Yeah. So that's quite a lot. Let's put that down to 9. Yeah. But let's call it 7 actually, because there's quite a lot of stuff going on. And as I said, it's a balance of optimization versus aesthetics. So stuff like this is close, like close combat places, well, like a forest like this. everything can be down really low because you can't see that far anyway. So that will give you a massive optimization hit there. But for large open planes like this, you have to use big numbers. You have to have a lot on screen. So yeah. There's optimizations of foliage. So how many FPS did I actually get from that? Oops. F2, let's just go to game. There you go. It's almost 5 FPS just from doing that. Bearing in mind nothing else is actually culled out yet. But you can see over here now, there's no grass, no things. There's a few bushes, so I could optimize the bushes a little bit more. All the rocks are gone. There are some bigger rocks that are there that have LODs, but as I said, we'll be going over LODs later, especially for these big rocks. That will help stuff. Yeah, so let's go to 1. 40 FPS there. We're hitting 40. So yeah. So the next one is a cold distance versus manually culling stuff. That's going to gain us some more FPS. I'm hoping by the end of this I'm actually going to get about 60. Unfortunately I can't see over 60 because I only have a 60 FPS monitor. But if I'm getting a solid 60 it means I'm usually getting over. So yeah, there's that. And in the next one we will be doing the culling volumes and manually culling. It works a lot like this, but with the volume it's a bit different. Yeah, so thanks for watching. I'll build lights for the next one. Hopefully we get a bit more FPS once I build lights. In fact, let's check. Actually get a bit more FPS with lights on. That's a bit weird. That is weird. Anyway, so in the next episode we'll be sorting that stuff out. And thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Ta-ra.